So I'm starting here with a 12 by 12 foundation paper, foundations paper pack piece of paper from Vicki Boutin. It's mixed media paper, so it holds the weight of these mediums really well without buckling. And for that first stroke there, I just took the watercolor brush, I don't remember the name of the color, and put it directly on the paper. So it's a very rich, dark, deep red. But for these other sections of the paper that I'm playing with, I dilute the watercolor brush by squeezing a little bit of the watercolor brush pigment there on the plastic and then dipping a paintbrush. Actually, I then spray the plastic and the pigment with my spray water bottle and then put the paintbrush in it. You could also probably dip your paintbrush in water and then mix it that way. And I thought, well, I'll just try a few different kind of strokes with each of these techniques and just see how it turns out. So the goal here was just to play. And I liked the way that for each of these, the colors are interacting. So the lines, the circles, the little dabs, and the paper kissing, which is what that is, they all end up having the colors touch each other. But the overlap, the visual overlap of the colors is different depending on which one you're doing. Like you can see obviously there, because I dipped the brush in, there's a lot more overlap in that and the kissing than it is the other two. I really liked this dot pattern that I created, and I end up actually taking another 6x8 sheet and doing just that pattern because I liked that so much and playing around with that. I also love the way those circles turned out. I'm thinking I might do that again. It's interesting, I started doing the green there and I hadn't cleaned my brush, and so I had to clean it because some of that orange had left over and it really made it look brown. So that was a good lesson for me to always take the time to clean my brush well so I don't end up using that portion. So something that I learned when I was making this layout is I don't grab my art wedge a lot, the Vicki Boutin art wedge, because I don't know, I think, oh, I'll just use a palette knife. But for some reason this time I used the wedge and it makes the biggest difference. When you use the wedge to apply, I feel like you have so much more control. The other piece of using the wedge, for some reason I'm using the palette knife there, I'm not sure why. The other thing about using the wedge is that it picks up the product, kind of like, I would say that it's similar to using a spatula when you're cooking, because it just grabs everything. It just feels a lot more precise and efficient than a palette knife. So this was a good opportunity to, I think, practice and learn more about that. I didn't want to wait for some of this to dry, and so I dabbed a paper towel on it, and it sort of softened some of the colors, which I liked. So as with a lot of times when I create mixed media, my goal here was to create little sections that I could then cut circles out of to make my layout in the end, which is what I do. Here I'm doing that dab thing on a 6x8, and I think this color looks really dark. Yeah, I think that, well, there I'm doing the pink. I think that brush was a little dirty too because it looks sort of like a brownish red, not quite as red as the other layout. So, and I think if I'm remembering correctly, I do this on a few different 6x8 sheets, and some of them I sprayed some water on and softened. So let's see what I do here. I don't know that I videotaped each process. I think my phone might have run out. Anyway, some of these, I think I spritzed water on top of and blended. So it's kind of like, that's right, that's what I did. I kissed it and then I mixed that around. So then I made that like a lighter version of the other one because I sprayed water on it. That's right. And I really liked the way that turned out. They're just so different. And then I kissed it again. So see, I have 3 pieces there and it kind of goes in like, lightest to darkest. And they all worked great for different purposes. Here I am using the art wedge. Maybe this is when I realized how magical the art wedge was. Because usually when I run stuff through the stencil, it seeps underneath, but not with the art wedge. So here's the first layout that I made. I used the richer or more vibrant color section of the paper for this layout because it seemed to go better with the photo that I used. And then for the other layout, oh, I love that so much, those circles. So for this one, I used some of the softer sections and I printed that photo on transparency and lay it over these dots. And I'll probably put it in a sleeve so you can still see this like that, but then have the photo lay on top of it. So let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Thanks for watching.